Breaking news overnight out of Cuba. Former president and revolutionary leader Fidel Castro has died at the age of 90.
WNEM TV5 News starts right now with a breaking news alert.
Good morning, and thank you for waking up with us on this Saturday morning. I'm Cameron Riddle. Meteorologist Dan Drew is in the First Warn 5 Weather Center tracking your forecast. We'll get to him in just a moment, but first, we've got that breaking news out of Cuba this morning. Cuban state media says former leader Fidel Castro has passed away. He led the island nation for almost a half-century, leading the only communist government in the Western Hemisphere. During that time, Castro survived a tough U.S. trade embargo designed to topple him, as well as numerous assassination attempts. Castro was 90 years old. And the death of Fidel Castro has triggered both celebrations and mourning. Supporters grieved over the revolutionary and controversial leader, while others welcomed his death of the polarizing strongman who loomed over Cuba for decades. This is video of celebrations in the streets of Miami as the news spread of the death of the former Cuban leader. Many in the Cuban-American community cheered. Opinions are still split on whether his legacy is good or bad, but coming up in the next half hour, we'll take a look back on the Cuban Iron's life. Well, new this morning, meteorologist Dan Drew has your full forecast with what you can expect in the Weather Center. He joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning, Cameron, and good morning, Mid-Michigan. We do have a few sprinkles out there this morning, but shouldn't be too bad. Let's take a look at First Warn 5 Pinpoint Doppler live from MBS in 3D. And while there's really not much going on in the southern counties around Genesee County, Lapeer County, we do have a few sprinkles down there. We're also dealing with a few sprinkles in between M55 and we'll say US 23 there as well, something to keep an eye on. And then between M55 once again and M72, once again we're dealing with a few light sprinkles, nothing to really hinder anything out there, but something to keep our eyes on. Here's a look at Owasso High School, 34 degrees right now, and overnight, well, we were dealing with a little bit of wind, but it's been generally light. But notice the damp pavement out there. This is something that we've been dealing with this morning. We're starting to dry out a little bit, and that's going to occur over the course of the day. By the afternoon, any leftover sprinkles that we have should manage to dry out, and then we will be dealing with mostly cloudy skies, a few peaks of sunshine, temperatures close to 40 degrees. We do have more rain in the forecast. We'll let you know when that happens, though, coming up in your First Warn 5 7-day forecast.
All right, thank you, Dan. President-elect Donald Trump's transition team is fighting over who should be named Secretary of State, and there are calls for recounts in several states, including Michigan. A transition source says in addition to Mitt Romney and Rudy Giuliani, retired General David Petraeus, retired Marine General John Kelly, and Senator Bob Corker are all in the running for the post. It's a battle that has divided the president-elect's world.
Not about that I don't care for Mitt personally, but I'm still very unhappy that Mitt did everything he could to derail Donald Trump.
Yesterday, Mr. Trump named former Republican administration official K.T. McFarland as his deputy national security advisor and Don McGahn as his White House counsel. Meanwhile, third-party presidential candidate Jill Stein wants to re-examine some votes that helped Trump win the White House. Through donations, she has raised more than $4.5 million, that is, to pay for a recount in 3 states.
We need to change our voting system. We need to implement these safeguards so that we're not asking the question after the fact.
Yesterday was the deadline for Stein to file a recount in Wisconsin. She also wants votes recounted in Pennsylvania and here in Michigan as well. A U.S. service member was killed by an improvised explosive device in Syria. The incident occurred Thursday, some 30 miles north of the self-declared ISIS capital of Raqqa. The death marks the first time a U.S. service member has been killed in Syria since special forces were deployed there in 2015 to fight ISIS. U.S. officials say operations to take back control of the city will begin soon. An estimated 300 service members are currently operating in Syria. Beyond Thursday's death, 4 U.S. members of service have been killed while fighting ISIS in Iraq. The Black Friday frenzy is for shoppers to take advantage of the deep discounts, but it did not come without violence and tempers that flared, typically associated with the busiest shopping day of the year. In Texas, a Good Samaritan was killed while trying to help a woman in a domestic assault in a Walmart parking lot. The Good Samaritan saw a man assaulting a woman in a car and tried to intervene. That's when San Antonio police say the situation got out of hand.
I don't know if it was his wife or if it was his girlfriend, but he was assaulting her pretty badly, and a Good Samaritan drove up, said, "Get your hands off her."
The suspect fired several shots and also hit a female bystander. That woman attacked is in the hospital this morning with life-threatening injuries. And Black Lives Matter protesters tried to disrupt Black Friday shopping in downtown Seattle. About 1,000 protesters joined in what has become the group's annual protest. They gathered at the city's Westlake Shopping Center and then marched to nearby streets. The protest blocked an intersection at one point. The rally appeared to be over in the early evening without any arrests reported. 2 years ago, protesters stormed a tree lighting ceremony at the Westlake Center. Sharp discounts lead to booming gun sales on Black Friday. Hundreds of shoppers packed into the RTSP gun shop and firing range in Randolph, New Jersey to snag sales for guns, ammunition, and accessories. The store's co-owner, Rick Friedman, says he has sold 15 guns, a big jump from his usual 2 or 3. Happening today, Ohio State and Michigan will renew the football rivalry today at Ohio Stadium. There's a lot to know heading into the game, and we've got you covered. Here's TV5's Jason Fielder with a summary of everything you need to know.
Not since 2006, when both teams were undefeated, has so much been on the line in the border battle between Michigan and Ohio State. In just a couple of hours, the winner of this game will still have dreams of going to the college football playoffs, while the losers' lofty goals will be unfulfilled. In order for U of M to beat the Buckeyes, they must first stop J.T. Barrett. Last season, the quarterback ran for 139 yards and 3 touchdowns and threw for 113 yards and a score in Ohio State's blowout win over the Maize and Blue. With Ezekiel Elliott gone, Barrett is the top threat left, and the Buckeyes' offense starts and ends with him. When Michigan has the ball, they cannot turn it over, and they have to do a better job of sustaining drives and scoring points. The Wolverines have scored 13 and 20 points in their last 2 games, and they will need much more than that in order to beat OSU on the road. It should be a great game, and I just hope for everybody watching that it lives up to the hype.
All right, Michigan State good, Ohio State bad. That's really all you need to know. The game kicks off today at noon. ESPN will air the weekly game day program for 5 hours before the game. That started just over an hour ago. It is live from the Ohio State campus. And Wolverine fans, listen up. I've got a deal for you. Today, U of M fans can enjoy a special buy one, get one offer at every Chipotle Mexican grill in Michigan. Anyone sporting Maize and Blue from 10:45 this morning to 10 tonight will score BOGO, burritos, salads, or tacos. Interesting. Speaking of food, now that Thanksgiving is over, many are already into the Christmas spirit.
Yeah, absolutely. And for a lot of families, that means picking out the perfect tree. It's your morning talker.
Weifel's Tree Farm in Moline has been selling trees for nearly 20 years.
The Christmas tree tradition starts by grabbing a measuring stick, a saw, and a piece of cardboard.
The tree may only last for the holiday season, but at this farm, you can capture a moment to keep forever.
My daughter got married in October, and I made the arch for her wedding. I looked at it and said, you know what, that would be a great thing to put out for people to get their picture taken.
The owner says the key to keeping the tree fresh is keeping it watered. As much as I like a nice, real, actual living tree, my tree comes out of a box.
Yeah, so
and I'm just
mine.
fine with that.
I can't complain. It's a little bit easier, less maintenance. It's always a little bit better.
Mine comes out of a box, and the lights are already on it. You just got to put the bulbs on and keep on rolling.
But that's always the fun part of the Christmas season. So.
And my tree is up. I'm happy that it is that time of year. TV5 News Time is 8:08, and still to come this morning, a federal judge has ruled accused Charleston church shooter competent to stand trial. We'll tell you when Dylan Roof is scheduled to resume his trial. And the world continues to mourn the loss of one of television's favorite moms. We'll take a look at how actress Florence Henderson is being remembered. And Black Friday is officially wrapped up, and Small Business Saturday is about to begin. Straight ahead, we'll tell you where you can find the best deals while still buying locally.